Hello and welcome to tonight's CLNS Media Patriots Roundtable. I'm your host, Nick Qualia, sitting here with Marv and with Mike Molyneux. A win is a win. The Jets, the winless Jets, took you down to the wire. And by the way, my favorite thing about the Jets Monday Night Football ESPN broadcast was pregame, there was a lot of conversation. And if you are the New York Jets, this is embarrassing. So obviously, Trevor Lawrence is projected to be the number one overall pick in this year's draft. The Jets are on pace to get that number one pick. And the whole conversation with ESPN pregame was, if you're Trevor Lawrence and the Jets get that number one pick, do you stay at college for the next year? Do you not go to the NFL? Which, dude, look at what they did to Sam Darnold. Sam was a good quarterback. Look what they did to that guy. So that's a legitimate conversation, and I feel bad. I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence. I don't feel bad for the Jets, but I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence. Who was it? Was it Zion who basically said, like, Knicks don't draft me when he was projected to be number one?
It wasn't Zion, but there was rumors out there that Zion wasn't wanting to get drafted by the Knicks.
So that's embarrassing for the Jets. So anyway, Patriots squeaked that out against the Jets, and it was a pretty good game. There were some shining moments, and yeah, it was the Jets, but whatever. But one guy really, really, really stood out this week. It was Jakobi Meyers. So let's twist this into a little fantasy football conversation. Jakobi Meyers owned in, last time I checked on Yahoo, 13% of fantasy football leagues right now. 13% on Yahoo fantasy football leagues. So, guys, the question is Jakobi Meyers worth a fantasy football pickup this week? Especially with what we saw after this weekend. Let's even say the week before with the Bills. Marv, let's start with you. What do you think?
I'm glad you said Yahoo, Nick, because that's really the only one you guys should be using is Yahoo Fantasy. Everything else is
dude, it's the best.
You gotta use Yahoo. But with Jakobi Meyers, first of all, if you are not in a PPR league, don't look at Jakobi Meyers whatsoever, due to the fact that Jakobi will not be scoring any touchdowns. And that's nothing against Jakobi. But there'll be no passing receivers that will be getting any touchdowns on this offense. If you can name me two, I'll give you $1. I'll give you $5. This offense right now, Mike wants no part. He doesn't want to lose his money. This offense right now, the way you're going to get touchdowns is through the run. I think Jakobi Johnson is one of the receivers who got a touchdown. He's a fullback. It's going to be through Cam Newton, Damian Harris, Burkhead. One of those guys are going to score the touchdown. The receivers are not. Due to that, that's going to limit Jakobi Meyers, upside. However, if you are in a PPR league, Jakobi Meyers is someone you have to look at. This is a guy now who's been getting targeted a bunch. And what was his stats, Nick, for this week?
169 yards, 12 receptions. Yahoo. So I'm in a Yahoo half-point PPR. 24.9 points.
Ooh. So in Yahoo even in half PPR as well. If you have half PPR, Jakobi Meyers is someone to look at. He had 24 in half PPR. In full PPR, he had 28 points.
And that's no touchdowns.
With no touchdowns, that right there had to have put him in the top 5 receivers of the week. Just off of Cam Newton just singling him out. That's one of the top receiving performances in a Patriot uniform. If we're really being serious, I think Wes Welker had more yards than him, and another receiver I'm forgetting the name right now. But Jakobi Meyers put up points. Is that something that's going to happen all the time? No. Was he facing the New York Jets? Yes. However, one thing we've seen in the past 2 games is he is right now the bona fide number 1 receiver, whether N'Keal Harry comes back or not. So if you want a safe pick, someone who's going to get 6+ targets every game, I like Jakobi Meyers as someone that you pick up. I don't think he's your number 1 waiver wire pickup of the day, as we are recording here on a Tuesday. However, there's a Nelson Aguilar and there's Curtis Samuel out there who are scoring touchdowns. And if you know anything about fantasy, you want to be able to score touchdowns. And right now, receivers in this Patriots offense and how it is built will not be scoring any touchdowns at all. Cam Newton will not be throwing any touchdowns. It'll be more through the run.
I'm an idiot. I had Nelson Aguilar up to last week, and then he got me 0 points when I needed him to score me points, so I just dumped him.
Aguilar, he's probably the number one wide receiver pickup this week.
Yeah, well, you know what? I had a choice between him and Corey Davis. I was like, Corey Davis has been solid. 0 points this week.
Corey Davis has always been the guy who's cursed fantasy owners, and you're just part of the list, Nick.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to dump him too, but that just means the second I dump him, he's going to do great because that's what happens every time I dump anybody in fantasy football. All right, Mike, what do you think? Jakobi Meyers, are you grabbing him in fantasy this week?
Well, before we get to fantasy and how we look at that, I think Jakobi Meyers has probably carved his way out to be easily the top option here in New England. Yes, I know Julian Edelman's not playing, and as well as N'Keal Harry, but at this point in the season, and as Cam Newton continues to get comfortable, I think it's clear to see that, and especially from the game against the Jets, he's really comfortable throwing the ball to Jakobi Meyers, a guy who's been there from day one. Has he been on the field and getting all the snaps from the beginning of the season? No, because he's been behind Julian Edelman. He's been behind N'Keal Harry. I think he's probably technically been behind Bird a little bit too. But the game that the Patriots played against the Jets, I feel as if it was Jakobi Meyers' coming out party in terms of being, the top option on this team. If N'Keal Harry and Julian Edelman are able to work their way back into the lineup, sure, they'll be great additions. But I feel as if Cam Newton, especially coming off that game against the Jets, knowing that him and Jakobi Meyers' connection was huge, and I think he even said it in a post-game press conference that he's known Jakobi Meyers for plenty of years now. Since I think he said Jakobi was like 16, he's known him, and they have a connection there, and it was on display in that game against the Jets. So I think moving forward, he's the top option in New England. Now you look at fantasy, I think Marv said it all. Absolutely. If you're in a PPR league, knowing that Jakobi Meyers is the top option in New England, you got to take a look at him and try to pick him up. He's not probably going to be someone that you're going to be keen to say, okay, how can I get Jakobi Meyers into my lineup this week? Where can I fit him? If you got a guy on a bye week, one of your top guys on a bye, and you are able to get Jakobi Meyers on your team, you should feel comfortable and not really hesitate in plugging him in, because you're saying to yourself, okay, well, if Cam's throwing the ball, he's probably looking Jakobi Meyers' way. Again, also like Marv said, don't look for this guy to be in the end zone, because it's just not happening in New England. None of these wide receivers are catching touchdowns. I think the only touchdown I think I can remember happening right now off the top of my head is a pass from, was it Stidham to N'Keal Harry?
Stidham to Harry.
Stidham to N'Keal Harry. That's the only touchdown from a quarterback to wide receiver I can remember right now for the Patriots so far this season. But it just doesn't happen. But if you're in a PPR league, expect Jakobi Meyers to get the targets from Cam Newton. It's going to be there. And he'll get points from you. You saw in a half PPR league that Nick pointed out, he put up damn near 24 points. Will he get to that amount each and every week? I don't know, but I expect him to be at least 10 plus points a week moving forward, because that's the type of connection and chemistry I think Jakobi Meyers and Cam Newton have, and I expect them to be pretty productive moving forward in the season. Clearly not a number one receiver, but I believe that Jakobi Meyers can add some production to a fantasy team.
Right, and I think he showed this week and against the Bills that I think it's becoming kind of clear that he is probably Cam's most trusted target, maybe right next to Bird. Like it seems like he's almost looking for Jakobi Meyers when he goes out for the pass. So Meyers, especially, it's all about PPR. Probably not if it's just a default league. If you're just looking for touchdowns and yardage, it's probably not going to happen. Like, you're not going to get 169 yards out of the guy every week. Like, let's be honest, you're not going to get close to that, even probably near 100. But if Cam's going to keep on throwing these passes to Jakobi Meyers, you're going to rack up those points in a PPR league. then do it. Then I would go after him. But if you're in like a waiver bucks type of league like I am, where you're set with a certain amount at the start of the year and you got to worry about managing that, I would bid low. Like, I wouldn't go crazy. If you can get him, go after him. But I wouldn't go crazy. Like, this isn't a guy who's like a must grab. But if you can get him, he's a low risk, high reward type of player. Now, if you're not an idiot like me who spent the farm to get J.K. Dobbins at the start of the year, so now you really got to manage your budget, then yeah, play it really close to the chest. Get a really low amount of money. You guys remember when I texted you about that?
How much money did you spend on J.K. Dobbins?
North of 40. I'll leave it at that.
I've never spent over 30.
I don't think the second bid was even close to what I had. To what I did.
Nick blew the rest of them out.
Dude, I bid a lot north of 40. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, Jakobi, if you can get him. But he's not a necessity. Low risk, high reward. I would try to grab him because I think him and Cam, I think their chemistry is really starting to develop, and I think that PPR league especially, he'll become very valuable even in a flex spot.